Hello, and welcome to the next episode of My Life with MS. In my last episode, I talked about the heavy metal detoxes and the parasite cleanse and the 21-day bone broth cleanse that I did. In this episode, we're going to talk about fasting, and we're also going to talk about the MS study that I joined with Dr. Wahls. So let's get into it. So what is fasting? Fasting is completely abstaining from food. If you think about it, let's say you're 30 years old, your body has not gone a single day where it didn't have to work to process food. So thinking about it like that really made an impact on my mind and on my mindset. So if my stomach has a hard time breaking down food and it's causing inflammation within my digestive system, shouldn't I give that body a break, right? So fasting made a lot of sense to me. I felt that, we have to unplug our computers sometimes. We have to recharge our phones sometimes. Why doesn't the body need to rest also? I really, truly believe that. So I started dabbling into fasting. I started with intermittent fasting, which is where I would stop eating at 8 p.m. at night and I wouldn't eat again till the next day at noon. That's pretty much what I do anyways. I don't have breakfast. I just have coffee. And then at noon, I'll have like a lunch, honestly, sometimes later. So doing intermittent fasting was not a problem for me. It kind of felt like I was already doing that already. But I got into that for a few weeks. And then I got into some research looking at the correlation between fasting and inflammation in the body. And what I found was really, really interesting. So I found several studies that have been done where they took groups of mice, one with MS, one without, and they actually went through a fasting protocol. They discovered that the mice with MS had a 100% success rate of stopping the inflammation, stopping the progression of MS through the fasting that they were doing. It was truly fascinating. It kind of sparked in my mind, how long did they make those mice fast for? And then I also learned about what extended fasting does to the human body. So extended fasting is where you go 24 hours or more in a fasted state. So what you do is you abstain from food, you let your body rest for a full 24 to 72 hours. Within that time, your body will hit different stages of recovery. So the first stage, your glucose drops, and day one is very, very difficult to really abstain from food. You don't realize how much you do eat until you start to fast and you stop eating. So it's very, very difficult. Definitely recommend to give yourself some grace if you do end up trying this. Everything I'm going over with you is in a book that I found on Amazon. I'll link it in my bio. It's called The Complete Guide to Fasting, and it's by Dr. Jason Fung. Anyways, this book had everything. And this book actually was made for people with diabetes. And it talked about a man with diabetes who fasted for 365 days and he lost over 200 pounds and he completely healed himself from diabetes. And there's the stories in the book. You're going to have to read it and read that incredible story. But it just started sparking some more interest in me on what was the aspect of fasting that had to do with healing the body. So then I learned about a word I've never heard before called autophagy. So when you're in a fasted state, your body is struggling a bit because it's so used to consuming food so often. You will be hungry, you will be having these urges, but just stay strong and get through that first 24 hours. And I promise you it will get easier. Day 2, your body starts using stored fat for energy, and then you actually enter ketosis. After 24 to 48 hours, your body starts going into another phase called autophagy. And autophagy is a fancy word that I think is for starvation, but what it means and what it does is that autophagy actually, your body will utilize any bad and damaged cells for energy. So your body is working. The human body is made to clean itself. I completely believe that. That's why we're able to live so long if you take care of your temple, take care of your body. With extended fasting, your body hits a stage where you're in this autophagy stage where your body will cleanse and get rid of all bad and damaged cells. And it just sparked so much interest in me. I needed to try this. I needed to see how far I could go. And with the rules that were done in the book, it tells you can drink bone broth, you can drink 1 cup of coffee, you can drink tea. Like there's an outline in the book of what you can and cannot do to stay in that ketosis and autophagy phase. But I tried it and it was the most amazing experience of my life. So day 1 was really difficult. Day 1 was a big challenge. I actually failed day 1 for 15 days. I mean, that's just the nature. That's how I just realized how much I would actually eat every single day. So I failed every single day for 15 days. So anyways, give yourself some grace. Know that you're going to fail. I think the last day where I actually okay, I'm going to make it through. I refuse to make dinner. And that was my breaking point. If I was making dinner for my family, I just would lose to temptation every single time. But I had some endurance, because I've been intermittent fasting before. Anyways, just give yourself some grace if you do try to fast. But get through that first 24 hours. And what I like to do is when I do fast, I set a timer, a stopwatch on my phone, just so I can keep track. Like, oh, I've made it for 7 hours, whatever. Made it for 10 hours, made it for 14 hours. I should keep going. I'm almost there to 24. So the 24-hour fast is hard. Very, very hard. You will fail, and that's okay. You just try again the next day. Day number 2 gets a little bit, it's either drastically much harder or drastically a little bit easier. I believe it just depends on the type of food that you have been eating leading up to deciding to do the fast. So if I eat clean, like really clean, and then I decide to do an extended fast, that day 2 is actually feeling pretty good. I don't have hunger anymore. I have a little bit of energy. But if I'm eating garbage, like let's say the holidays just passed, and I'm eating all this garbage, which I did fail a few times during the holidays, right? With some cookies and gluten. And yeah, I've learned my lesson, but still, you're going to fail. And that's okay. You need to give yourself some grace. This is an extremely hard challenge to do. So day 2, you're going to have all this energy, or it's going to be really difficult. You have to get to day 3. Day 3, I believe, is the golden day. Day 3 for me, I have more clarity. I have more energy. I don't have fatigue. Like that was the biggest thing for me, is that when I first started this, my fatigue fell off of me. I can't explain it. I just had this natural energy to do the laundry, do the chores. I'm just moving really fast, and I was just feeling so good. And the craziest part too is that when I was done with chores, I wasn't wiped out. And if you have multiple sclerosis or you have any sort of autoimmune condition and you are doing anything active, you get wiped out. You have to go take a nap after you just clean the house, and after you just do all the laundry, and after you do all the dishes, or even after you just work at your job. You are exhausted. And it's kind of like that spoon theory that we've all heard about. You only have a certain amount of spoons per day. You can only do 2 or 3 things, and then your body just physically shuts down. That alone did not happen on my day 3. I had energy. I had clarity in my head, and I suffer from really bad brain fog. That's always been a problem for me, just the cloudiness and the stuttering, and I think of a word and I can't spit it out. Like, I have always dealt with that. Having this level of clarity, I was like, this is amazing. I love this. Like, I just love that feeling. I haven't felt that way in 4 years. I've been dealing with treatments and steroids. I mean, steroids does give you some energy, but it's kind of a crazy, like, rabid dog energy. But I'm just saying, like, just having like a calm clarity. So my day 3, love it. Then I would break the fast. I would break the fast with easy and nice food. So that means your greens, have a green smoothie, have some broccoli, and you just kind of slowly dip your toe back into food. So I loved that 3-day fast. That was eye-opening to me. So then I gave it about another week, and I did the fast again. And this time I wanted to go to 4 days, 5 days. I wanted to see how far I can go. So I did the whole process again. I did fail day 1 again, maybe 2 or 3 times. It's just difficult to get through day 1. And then I started the fast again. Day 1 was hard. Day 2 was a little bit easier. Day 3 was amazing. And then I got to day 4 and it was glorious. My day 4 was like the best I've ever felt. And I kept thinking to myself that if I feel this good on day 4, there must be so many bad cells in me that are being cleaned up right now. Like, I must have a laundry list of bad cells because I didn't understand how my energy was just skyrocketing. And it was glorious for me because I just haven't had that. If you have MS and you're going through treatments or you're doing anything, you just don't have that energy. And it's like a flip of a switch for me. I recognized it as energy that I had before. Like, I felt like myself again after 4 to 5 days without eating. So that was really interesting to me. So one thing that I started doing is that I would break the fast with the greens and whatnot. I would eat very clean. And then maybe a day or 2 later, I would fail my eating clean and green rules that I have. I would fail and I would cheat. And I noticed right away that when I cheated, I got hit with fatigue 10 times as bad. Like, when you fast and you give your body this break, your stomach will get smaller, your metabolism is built up, and you just feel so good. And then if you cheat, it actually does more harm because your body has gotten used to this stage of just being it's easier to digest food. It's not overworking. And then when you cheat, it has to overwork. And I truly believe that when your body has to overwork, that contributes to the amount of fatigue that you have. You can ask anybody like us. You eat a slice of pizza, you eat slices of pizza, you're going to be wiped out that night and the next day. Like, that happened to me all the time. Anytime I ate like heavy bread or gluten, bagels, sandwiches, all that delicious stuff that we can't have anymore, I would get completely wiped out for about 2 to 3 days after. Like, that night all the way through the weekend, I would be wiped out if I had pizza, if I had pizza and mozzarella sticks and all the delicious fried food, that Friday I'd be wiped out till Monday. So it really just was eye-opening. So that's why I do recommend, like, consult with your healthcare provider, but I do recommend to challenge yourself. Look into fasting, see if it's right for you, see if you can do a 24-hour one, see if you can do a 2-day one. But I really want to say that you have to build up your endurance. Don't just dive into it with this challenge and try to get to the end, because in the beginning I would get waves of lightheadedness, and that's when I knew I needed to stop. So it wasn't just a first time I got to 3 days, the first time I got to 4 days. I definitely had to work my way up, and I would fail all the time, but I just knew I wanted to get to that 4 or 5 day level. So number 1, ask your doctor about if it's right for you. Number 2, read this book, The Complete Guide to Fasting. I will link it below. It has such amazing information and testimonials and stories of people who fasted for different health reasons and they came out on top. And then I'd recommend that you start slow and that you just ease into it and listen to your body every step of the way. When you do extended fasting, you follow the book's rules, but you have to drink a lot of water. So I failed to drink a lot of water, and that's why I would get lightheaded. And I've learned that. And so now I have just water next to me all the time when I'm fasting. And then I got into, like, I'll let you know the things that I drink. And, people can come at me and tell me that this is not fasting, or it is. But here are the things that I allowed myself to have, because I knew no matter what, I was giving my digestive system a break from solids. And that is what was important to me. So my go-to drinks during, it's basically a liquid fast, was coffee, tea. I did drink sparkling water and water. So those 4 things, and I would kind of rotate them around. Those 4 things is what I would do to just keep myself going every single day. And then I would take a multivitamin. So I do recommend doing that. That is mentioned in the Complete Guide to Fasting book. And I listen to that because I know us, when we have our vitamins to take, we usually take a lot and we just need that in our life. So I allowed myself to have a multivitamin, and then the coffee, the tea, the water, and the sparkling water. And that's the stuff I would rotate through. If you have questions about fasting or tips and tricks, like, what you want to know to get started, please comment below and I will help you every step of the way if I can. I think it is life-changing. It's a life-changing experience for me. And I did several months, a week on, a week off, and I would do these type of routines. And I learned so much about what my body can and cannot stand when it came to food. And then it better just instilled in me, like, oh, we have these rules, don't eat gluten, don't eat dairy, but it just more backed up that rule that I cannot go back to eating gluten and dairy, because my body will just shut down if I do. We're moving forward. We don't want to move back. So I highly recommend it. And it was a great experience. And I still do it to this day. Actually, right now, talking to you, I'm on day 2 right now of the fast I'm doing now, because I do it all the time. And it just is a great body reset. Now I'm into, like, this fasting routine. There's still so much more. That part of the episode is talking about fasting, how I got into it, what it does to me, and my experiences with it. I've been in this, like, on again, off again fasting experience. And then it was time to meet with my neurologist again. The neurologist that I've had for the past several years she's actually stepping back. So another neurologist was there, and I was able to meet with this man. Great neurologist. I was really excited to meet with him. And when I met with him, I was actually in a fast. And he had said that he had wanted me to go get an MRI. It was time. It's been some time since my last MRI. So we scheduled that MRI. I went through the MRI process. And at this time, like, I'm feeling so good, right? I did all the detoxes. I did all the things. But it has been like 9 months since my last MRI. Like, it's been a long time. So I had the MRI, and then I met with this doctor again, because in my mind, I'm like, this MRI is going to be great. I feel so good. I have all this energy. I'm doing fasting. I did all those things. I went through a lot of hard work. I think this is going to be great. However, with the caveat that it has been a long time since my last MRI, so I don't know what to expect. So I meet with this doctor who was great, and we go over the MRI results, and the MRI was really, really bad. So this is a setback, right? So I feel great, but the MRI was so bad. I mean, the worst that I've ever seen and experienced it, everything. I did this MRI in December of 2023, and it showed a massive jump to 40 lesions in my brain and an uncountable amount in my spine. That's how many lesions I had. It looked really bad, but I felt so good. Again, I felt on top of the world. I'm like, no way. No, I actually didn't believe it. No way am I progressing, am I deteriorating because I feel so good. So I tell the neurologist that, and he was like, hey, I believe you. I believe everything you're doing is really good for you. And he said, let's give it 3 more months. Try, do your fasting, do the detoxes, do the cleanses, everything. Give it 3 more months. We'll check back again and go from there. So a lot of things happened. I had 2 parallel situations. So the first situation was that before this MRI and before this last meeting with this new neurologist, I actually got messaged by a team member on Dr. Wahls' team. So if you don't know who Dr. Wahls is, she's an amazing physician, and she herself has MS, and she was wheelchair bound. I will link her book below and her whole story below. It's an incredible story. She was wheelchair bound, and she was progressing so fast. And so she dove into what she could do to actually heal herself. And she created the Wahls protocol. And the Wahls protocol is finding nutrition in clean eating and green eating and the keto diet. And there's a whole bunch of different diets that she does that are really good, like a paleo diet. And she was able to walk again, I think within a year from her discovering her own protocol and healing like the mitochondria and the cells. It is so good. It is so powerful. It is a very hard and challenging diet to do. But if you are determined enough, I would encourage you to look up her book, The Dr. Wahls Protocol. I follow her and her journey on social media, and I have a little bit of a social media following on Instagram. And so a team member of hers reached out to me to see if I wanted to interview Dr. Wahls about her upcoming study. They were looking for participants. I met with Dr. Wahls on an Instagram Live to really talk about it. And it was all about the effects of diet and MS. And that's everything that I was learning. I was learning about fasting, learning about diet, inflammation in the body, and tolerances. So it just aligned really well. I signed up for it and I was approved. And my neurologist knew about it at the time. I had to fly to Iowa and go through a series of tests. And at the end of that day, and the end of the test, they would actually randomly select you to be a part of 3 different diet groups. So you have a control group, which is the all-American diet. You had diet number 1, diet number 2. And I was very excited. And I had told Dr. Wahls, I am actively looking into this. I'm actively like fasting. I'm really into the keto diet and the paleo diet. I'm not eating cheese or dairy, but I'm just trying all these different things out to see what I can do. I was a great candidate for this MS study. So I did that and I flew there and I got through all the different testings that you do. And we did like an MRI there. We did some visual tests, some motor skills testing. And again, I was feeling great because I was in the process of fasting and learning all about that. And then at the end of that appointment, basically that meeting, I met with the dietitian and she was to reveal to me the group that I was in for this study. And at the end of that, she told me that I was in the all-American diet segment. And as you can imagine, someone who's just accelerating so much into the healthy diet space, and then to be told that for the study, I'm doing the all-American diet, I was completely defeated. I was like, what a closed door this is. This is not what I wanted. I wanted to get selected for another diet, so it pushed me even harder to get the MS under control. And it was under the Dr. Wahls, under her program, and I knew she was successful with herself, so I just had a lot of hope and a lot of really good expectations for this, but I was very, very devastated. It definitely was a setback when I was told that I got the all-American diet. I actually kind of pleaded with the dietitian and say, hey, look, I'm on this trajectory right now where I am going really well with eliminating certain foods and fasting and everything. I feel the best I've ever felt. And she said that I could be a outlier in this study just as long as I report on everything that I'm doing and I provide them with all the details. So I was like, okay, I'll accept that. I'm going to still do what I'm doing and I'm going to report back, and I won't be a part of that study fully, but I will still be analyzed by them. So what was really disappointing about that is that because I was in that branch of the all-American diet, I did not get assigned a dietitian to walk me through all the things I needed to do and hold me accountable. So I was pretty devastated because that's why I went there. That's what I wanted. I flew all the way there and I just got the all-American diet and I was just devastated about it. When I came home after a few meltdowns, I really decided it's up to me to try to figure this out. And then I'm going to, record everything, report back and everything like that. And then I had that MRI and then I met with the neurologist. So that's where we're at in this timeline. So I met with the neurologist. The MRI was terrible with the 40 lesions. And he was like really concerned, like, we need to get you back onto a treatment. But he was supportive in how good I felt. He said, "You're feeling so good. I don't want to do anything to stop that." And I really respected that. And I said, "Okay, thank you, sir, for not pushing the treatments. Please give me some time to figure this out on my own. Still, I know those results are bad. I know I have a baby at home. I know I have a lot of things relying on me, but I wasn't in my heart. I just wasn't ready to jump back and give up." So the doctor let me continue on, but he wanted to check me again in 3 months. And at this time it was January and 3 months would have been March. I was pretty upset that the scans were bad, but I felt more motivation and encouragement to just really do my best work right now. I have 3 months to take all of this stuff so seriously so that the next MRI is good. And I just believed that in my heart. And then at the same time, so I'm doing all this fasting. And my brother, who lives in Colorado, he's like, "Hey, I'm aware that you're doing this fasting and you're trying to get rid of all the toxins in your body. My church is actually doing a 21-day fasting and prayer exercise. And I think you should look into it and watch the videos." I was like, "Okay, sure. I'll see what that's all about," because throughout this whole experience, God has been just such a pillar. So my prayer life has increased significantly. In the year of 2023, I made it a point to be like, okay, I'm going to read the full Bible. And that was really nice because it just got me more into the word. I learned more about the stories and I had never read the full Bible before. So it was just like, it was actually so, so interesting and so amazing and life-changing. So I'm going to stand behind that for sure. But my brother calls me and he says, "My church is doing this thing. You should listen to it." And so I did. And then I just joined them in their fast. I just had the visit with the bad results. I was really disappointed about the MS study and getting selected for the All-American diet. And so, yes, if this is coming to me, I'm going to jump in and do it. So then I tried to do a 21-day fast. I've been building an endurance up to, extended fasting for some time. So I tried to do it. And this type of fast was so much different and so much more amazing. So this type of fast is abstaining from food still. I still followed the same regimen that I was doing, but I added a whole lot of prayer to the fast. And in the Bible, there's about 77 examples of fasting. There's people fasting in mourning, people fasting for healing, people fasting for celebration, for wars, like for all these things. So prayer and fasting is a tool that is mentioned in the Bible to draw you closer to God. And I did this. I was all in. I got rid of all the distractions in my day. I put my phone down. I put everything down. And I just dove into the word and I dove into prayer and asking God to show me that this was the right path to take, because I just told the doctors for the second time that I don't want to do treatment. And I never felt sick with that statement. I felt like that was the right thing to do, but I'm still terrified to my bones if I have another scan and it is 10 times worse or I end up in a wheelchair. Like, for people who are told that these are the possible outcomes, those fears will be in your head for a very, very long time. You can't just turn those fears off. So I dove into fasting and prayer for these 21 days. And it was the most incredible, life-changing spiritual experience that I've ever been through in my entire life. And I received so much peace, happiness, and joy about my decision to stop treatment. I got the confirmation I needed, and it was incredible. And so I knew that I was on the right path. And I was like, "God, please show me more. What more should I be doing?" He started dropping hints about other testing that needed to get done. So another topic through this fast, right? So I'm fasting for this 21 days. I got as far as I could and I decided to stop because I started getting lightheaded. And I got through day 17. Like, it's insane. And I'm not trying to boast or brag about that. I just want to show you that it is possible to go that far after you build your endurance up. In this example, I'm relying on God 100% of the time. I got through day 17 and it was the most amazing, life-changing experience I've ever been through in my life. I had so much peace about this decision to not do treatments. There's no way I could ever go back. Like, I got the confirmation I needed. And glory to God for just speaking to my heart and showing me what to do. But through prayer, God brought me to a few more things I needed to do. the next few things that I did. And it's wild. I was asking God in prayer, I'm asking God, like, what else do I need to do? If this is the path you want me to take, what else do I need to do? Please show me. And there was something that kept coming up, reoccurringly coming up. And then it came up in conversations. It came up in some of the studies I was reading online. And the next thing for me to do was, I'm going to tell you that I did a stool sample, and it was something that my doctor recommended because it's the only way to get a 20-page paper on what is happening in your stomach and in your intestine, your both large and small intestine. And so I did go through that process. And then the next thing that I got through that fast was to get tested for EBV. So EBV is the Epstein-Barr virus. And this is something that I actually haven't shared on social media. I haven't shared anywhere. And I need to tell you about those two things and the craziness that I learned by doing those two tests. And I will save that for the next episode, because this episode was heavily on fasting and guidance and what to do, how to get started. But if you are still following along in this journey, there are two more major things that happened to me, and I will get into those in the next episode. So I do appreciate you listening this far. Thank you so much for all of your support. Please remember that everything that I covered is my personal experience, my personal opinion. Please do not take it as medical advice, and please consult with your medical team for anything that you might try doing. Please do your research, do your own research, read the books, follow me on Instagram. You can comment below. I'm happy to help in any way that I can, but please hang on. There's still so much more. I have 2 more steps to this whole process, and then I have some crazy results I need to talk to you about. So please hang in there, and I will see you on the next episode.